this was the first spiritual direction course that Unity ever did, and it was always considered a monastic tradition, but Robert Brummett was very keen on getting it started. Honouring Ewan, instead of calling it direction, calls it friendship, and I really like that, spiritual companionship or friendship. And it involves creating a sacred space to achieve the goal of increasing our capacity to live a spiritual life from the heart. And we not only focused on spiritual direction, but it had a very strong emphasis on social justice. And it was demanding work, but inspiring. Lovely Geo from Hawaii was part of the first year, but he dropped out being a minister. There were 3 ministers as well as in the course as well. But we formed the most amazing bond in those 2 years, and we're going to meet. We've decided twice a month to continue our study or our time together and support each other. So our final assignment asked 2 questions. What am I called to do to help the brokenness of the world? And what do I plan to do with my one wild and precious life? And as you can imagine, when I answered my assignment, I said my one wild and precious autumn of my life, given where I am in life. So these questions, I believe, help us create our sacred cosmic contract, which I'm quoting from Mirabai Starr. And hers was one of the books that was very inspiring. So our life experiences, both positive and traumatic, create the mould into which our psyches are poured. The Vedic seers might call this karma. Some philosophers suggest that we make an agreement before we're born to be refined in our own particular way. Whatever we believe, we're here now with our future before us to do our part in the healing of the world. And I've often quoted my old friend Carolyn Mace with this line: we transmute our experiences into the gift we give back to the world. Robert Brummett, who was, as I said, a leading influence in this course, gave me, I was sent this framed script of one of his quotes. I was also sent that candle and that little bookmark. So they're sort of my tokens of sent by the manager of the course. So on that script we have the questions. What are you being? What you are being, they're not questions, they're statements and questions. What you are being is more important than what you say. And how you care is more important than anything you know. Listening with deep empathy is your most important function. Seeing the divine within the other is the greatest gift you can give. So the first one, what you are being is more important than what you are saying. And you could add doing. Emerson said, how you are speaks so loudly that I can't hear what you're saying. And last week, Roz spoke about our energy vibration levels and the effect we have collectively on the human consciousness. Jung calls that the collective unconscious. Charles Fillmore called it the race consciousness. And wonderful Jeanette has transformed the Abraham Hicks vibrational levels of emotion into this stairway. I don't know how long it took her, because the actual picture was that big, wasn't it? But as Roz was speaking last week, this went through my mind, this level of vibration. And I first heard this at a Gawler Foundation conference years ago, when a doctor used it as she was talking about the mind-body connection. And it really spoke to me. She said that guilt and shame are at the lowest level and love and gratitude the highest. I had grown up just about all my youth feeling guilt and shame, that I just thought, that this really, really made sense. Esther Hicks doesn't have shame, but I guess that's despair and powerlessness and all of that. And she doesn't use the word gratitude. She prefers appreciation. But that's the stairway to heaven, really. Does that speak to you? Yeah. It's a powerful tool, I think, to work out where you are in life and see what you can do about just feeling slightly better. So we know that our vibrational levels don't just affect our own bodies, but those around us are also affected, whether consciously or subconsciously. And I used to go into injured workers' homes, and I always say that the ashtray was in proportion to the size of the television set, and the blinds were down. Truly, you would open their cupboard and instead of towels in the linen cupboard, it would be full of medication. And I would just feel as though I could cut that energy with a knife. And at least I would put up the blinds and let a bit of sunlight in, and if I could, get them to come outside. And I just think they exemplified all the levels from 8 down to 22. That, stuck, despair, all the rest of it. I hope I made a difference. When I came back from Findhorn, this was another experience of what we're talking about. I'd been very influenced by Eileen Caddy, and I think it was the first time I ever heard of going within for guidance. I'd just retired, and so I thought, okay, if Eileen can do it, so can I. So I went in within for guidance about what do I do next with my one dramatic life. And the answer came back. I was really scared I'd be sent to Africa where they didn't have showers to teach English. So the message came back to me so powerfully. It's not what you do, but how you do it, which is in sync with this child. And that's very simple language for what science and writers such as Brahman say, that how we are in the world affects those in our energy field. I told my daughter about that, and I know I've told you this story before. At first I went around, being charming to everybody about how I was in the world, but I told Jane, and she was in a shoe shop waiting to buy shoes, and somebody was taking them back, and they went on and on, and she thought, oh my God, blah, she's not patient at the best of times. And then she remembered this, and so she listened to what they were saying, and the woman had been made unemployed and everything. So instead of, erupting in fury, she gave the woman a contact number about a job in child protection, and the woman said, I'll never forget your kindness for doing that. So that was a really good example of being different with that awareness. So the next one is, how much you care is more important than anything you know. Part of our cosmic contract is to remember the importance of love over fear and judgment of ourselves and others. In unity, we link wisdom or judgment with love and understanding and will. Paul Hasselbeck says, from an elevated consciousness, we use wisdom to discern how to apply what we know in order to be the best person or Christ we can be. At the end of our lives, it's not going to be how many books we've read or how well we can spell, but how much we've cared for and loved others and ourselves. And self-love is a tough one, but without care of ourselves, we can't love and support others. Bernie Siegel, Dr. Bernie Siegel, who influenced me many years ago, tells the story of a woman called Evie McDonald, and she was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah? And it's a disease that causes nerve cells to break down and reduces the function of muscles. There's no cure, and she was told she had 6 months to live. She said, death seemed inevitable, and a part of me was truly looking forward to ending this life. Yet I had unfinished business, a strong compulsion to discover what unconditional love was before I died. She wrote a commitment to discover unconditional love. She began by sitting in front of a mirror, and she says she looked disgusting with her muscles atrophying and her arms and legs shrinking. She asked herself, how could she reach her goal of finding unconditional love if she couldn't even accept her own body? At first she began writing down her thoughts. There were only negatives. So she began to write at least one positive, no matter how small. Next, for every negative statement, she would write a positive. One day she noticed there were no negative thoughts. She was totally at peace with how her body was, and she said it was a bowl of jelly in a wheelchair. My illness was a challenge and a gift, she says. I was stimulated to examine my deepest thoughts, desires and beliefs. The journey of self-discovery restructured my life and led me into a powerful experience of the mind-body connection. Her intention was to learn to change her thinking, and a bonus was that her body began to heal as well. Evie, like Myrtle, discovered that the body responds to our attitude towards it. And that's so much Louise Hay too, isn't it, with her mirror work. So research by the HeartMath Institute shows that when we love, the electromagnetic energy generated by the heart changes from a state of chaos into an ordered harmonic pattern of waves. This ordered pattern, like a radio wave, affects every cell in the body. When we love, the autonomic nervous system that runs the unconscious functions of the body changes from a state of conflict and imbalance into an ordered, efficient state, balanced state. When we love, the rhythms of the heart change by speeding up and slowing down in a very balanced, healthy and efficient manner, reducing stress on the heart and balancing the entire body. When we love, many systems in our bodies that were operating independently of each other begin to function together in a state of order and harmony called entrainment. When we love, the neurocentre of the cortex, where our higher reasoning functions are stored, is stimulated, bringing us the experience of increased mental clarity and more effective reasoning and decision-making power. When we love, the stress response in our bodies is reversed in seconds. This demonstrates the knowledge of the power of the heart as opposed to the head, and it's supported by the research into the effects on us of support dogs and cats and even birds on the owner's welfare. And Lao Tzu said the longest distance in the world is from the head to the heart. I truly thought I'd created that when I was helping with the Gawler Foundation groups that used to meet here. That's how I came to Unity. I used to get the people to draw a diagram, and a line from the head to the heart, and all the steps that might be, the blocks that might be preventing them from coming to the heart. And then I found out that it wasn't me who invented that idea, it was Lao Tzu. Part of our cosmic contract, it seems, is to be heart-centred whenever we can. And Dawson Church is another great proponent of this with his echo meditation research and his echo meditation. So, the next one. Listening with deep empathy is your most important function. This is the most important part of spiritual direction and was a new experience for me, having done counselling and all of that beforehand. And it's very different from the unity prayer process or being with a counsellor. We allow silence and spirit to speak. It means being present with the heart and not the intellect. There are no clever statements or assessments or opinions offered unless we're asked for them. We allow the other to arrive at the decision that they are guided to by their own connection to spirit. And it's a sacred process, and we all know how wonderful it is to be with somebody and have them simply listen without telling us what to do. And before I knew about the power of sacred listening, I became aware many, many years ago of, and I know I've told you this too, my friend who listened to me warble on for 2 years trying to make sense of my broken marriage. And one day I said to her that this other friend was still going on and on about her husband, and Carmen in a very flat voice said, "Well, you did it for 2 years." But over that time, she simply listened. She just let me go on and on. So that one day I came to my senses and I realised, for heaven's sake, stop trying to make sense of this, because there is none from my level of consciousness. And that was such a good learning tool for me to take into my work with rehab counselling. Workers were constantly trying to make sense of what their foreman had done or what was happening in their lives. And I felt that I could move them on by saying, you could spend a lifetime trying to work this out, but you won't find an answer. And so let's let it go. And how many of us do spend so much time trying to make sense of something when at our level of consciousness we don't see it? So the next one, seeing the divine in the other, is the greatest gift you can give. Seeing the divine is coming from that higher level of love. It's easy to see the divine in those we love and admire. It's more difficult when others get our backs up. They might disagree with our beliefs or that we treasure or our politics. I know I've shared this as well, a powerful memory of sitting on the train and judging this fellow down in the other carriage. And I realised what I was doing and I changed my thinking. I sent a blessing to that fellow traveller on the path to wholeness. My energy shifted, and I now know that changing my energy field would have had an effect on everyone around me, and particularly that poor man. So we haven't defined love, perhaps we can't. Love, like wholeness, is a divine idea. Its essence can't be captured with words. The experience of love transcends any description of love. Another one of my leading lights, Teilhard de Chardin, the brilliant Jesuit priest, a paleontologist, defines love as cosmic energy. He describes it as the affinity of being with being. Love is the fundamental impulse of life. Love alone can unite living beings so as to complete and fulfil them, for it alone joins them by what is deepest in themselves. Both Teilhard and Charles Fillmore see love as divine energy that attracts and harmonises everything in the universe. Love comes through us, It transcends the individual, but it operates through us. Love is the energy that attracts and harmonises all elements of creation, as we said from the HeartMath Institute. What Ross said about our emanation of energy being permanent in the field is in agreement with Teilhard. He says that this energy is the driving force behind evolution. So, some questions to ponder when considering our cosmic contract are: who am I? What is real? What's my life about? What is my place in the world? I spent a weekend with the Gawler Foundation before it even became the foundation centuries ago, and we spent an entire weekend in pairs asking, who am I? Delving deeper and deeper and peeling off layers of image, occupation, roles. And there was a time of feeling, and we all just about went into total despair and nothingness. And it was the void that Robert Brummett says. And I had a glimpse then of the dark night of the soul, and we all have those experiences through life. I think it's essential to go into some experience of the void in order to experience the true self. When life experiences force us into this, we can spend years in the wilderness like the Israelites in searching for the promised land, or we can practice our unity principles and trust and know that divine love flows through us as us. And that's something I didn't know in those years with Carmen. Robert Brummett talks of double vision, the ability to know the suffering of another and simultaneously know the perfection of spiritual being. Double vision is the ability to see someone dying of cancer, have compassion for them, and be aware of their spiritual perfection. The heart has the capacity to hold what the mind can't fathom. So our cosmic contract has many layers. We might have a particular talent to express to the world. We might have a particular archetype to express. We might also be kind and caring and supportive to family and friends. We might include the human family and perhaps all species on Earth itself. We realise that none of us exists in isolation. We're deeply connected to all life on the planet, and every act is a global act because we don't live in isolation. Our Earth is in the midst of the greatest extinctions, extreme weather conditions, mass starvation in the history of the planet. Brummett says, healing is needed and God is present in all of it. We need not despair, neither should we be complacent. God is present not as a magical figure, but as us. We are both the cause and the potential for cure of the suffering of the planet. Personal wholeness and planetary transformation can't be separated. The work of personal transformation and the work of helping others in the process are an essential part of planetary transformation. We can't all be Greta Thunbergs and all the others, but every little bit that we do helps. Einstein said, if we think that our experiences are separated from the rest, we're in a delusional prison. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. So our basic cosmic contract, I suggest, is to work on becoming fully human and fully divine as we journey together in our quest for wholeness. And I know that's a bit of a cliche, but it's true, fully human and fully divine. So what we do with our one wild and precious life I think could be summarised as love one another. And we're going to have that, I think, as we go into meditation.
What's it called?
Love one another as I have loved you. Yeah, a new commandment I give unto you.
Jamie Lewis is not so
Do you want it just to be played or is it up going to sing? Yeah, take up the rest of it. So the Zoomies can hear. Is the mic on that?
We've got it. Thank you, Leslie.
Now, with those beautiful words, they're going in our hearts and minds. Relax and let go, and go within. We know and trust that our true nature is love. We live in the spirit of wisdom, love and order. Let's slow our breathing and consciously breathe in and out from the heart centre. If it's okay, 6-second in breath, 6-second out breath. Quieting our thoughts, becoming stilled, and just being. Like worn-out clothes, we peel off any images or projections that keep us from stepping into the truth of our being. We ponder the questions: who am I? What is real? What is my life about? What is my place in the world? Whatever answers we receive, we know that light shines upon the path ahead, with each step revealing the next. I am present in this moment, recognizing God as the central presence and power within my being. I am open to the light of divine wisdom illuminating my mind. I see, I realise, I know, I am one with and now fully flourish in divine life. I feel the energy of life pulsing through me. I am pure vitality. I am whole and free. Through wind and storm I stand steady, knowing God is my strength. Being still and knowing I am one with God, I am strong and steady. Nothing can throw me. No trouble can break me. I know that my nature is spiritual strength and that by my word I can calm the storm. I am willing to be a presence of divine love in all my relationships. My heart blooms with compassion as I meet others in love. I bless them, seeing only their divine identity. Wherever I go and whoever I meet, my heart hears a call for love and holds the sweetest desire to sow the seed of love. Returning focus now to each breath, we bring inner peace with us back into the sanctuary and all around us. As we close this meditation time with a deep knowledge and trust in our own divine nature, and with gratitude and love, we go forward in service wherever we are called. With a big, deep breath, we come back, and so it is.